ABC General Hospital spoilers for Friday. February 13 show that Brooklyn isn't the type to stay silent when her life starts changing around her. Lately, she's been feeling that change more clearly than ever. What used to feel steady, her marriage to Chase, their shared understanding. The way they move together now feels a little bit off. It doesn't seem dramatic at first. It's in the little changes, the way Chase and Willow start talking a bit differently, and those moments when their conversations just don't end right away. Brooklyn notices everything. The way Chase's voice sounds when he stands up for Willow is really clear and firm. You can see the urgency in his posture the moment her name is mentioned. He seems more focused on proving she's innocent than actually listening to what his own wife has to say. These aren't big betrayals, at least not so far. But they are changes. Disasters often start when things change. Chase says his connection with Willow is strictly professional, motivated by a sense of justice and some unfinished business. He thinks he's fixing a mistake, chasing after the truth and getting his credibility back. The more he gets caught up in Willow's world, the harder it is for him to tell where he ends and she begins. Brooklyn notices something Chase won't admit: being close to someone can stir up complicated feelings. Willow has a way of making herself seem vulnerable and misunderstood, like she needs someone to look out for her. Chase, driven by his urge to protect and make things right, reacts to that vulnerability with a strong sense of urgency. It might not be romantic, but it sure is powerful. It's charged, and it's continuing to grow. Brooklyn doesn't shake at the idea. She figures it out. She is studying. She shifts slightly. She knows that keeping a marriage strong can mean facing the conflict head-on rather than backing away from it. If Chase is getting more involved in Willow's story, then Brooklyn won't just sit back and watch. She starts changing how she interacts, making sure Chase knows she's still there, and reminding him of what they built together and their loyalty to each other. But underneath that strength, there's something sharper: suspicion. It's not just about feeling close emotionally. It's really about the truth. Willow isn't as innocent as she seems, and Brooklyn can tell that Chase is getting caught up in something he doesn't quite understand. If he keeps sticking so closely to Willow, always defending her and standing up for her, he might end up being pushed into decisions that could ruin everything: his job, his honesty, and even his marriage. Brooklyn isn't about to let that slide without putting up a fight. She's not going to let her husband slip away to someone else's fake act. The tension builds up slowly. Talks between Brooklyn and Chase are getting sharper. She asks more pointed questions. He answers defensively. The harder she pushes, the more he blames her for not trusting him. That accusation hits harder than he thinks because Brooklyn isn't jealous, she's reacting on instinct. She feels like Willow's story isn't whole, like there's something dangerous hiding just beneath the surface. If Chase keeps getting involved with her without being careful, he might end up mixed up in something way bigger and more dangerous than he thinks. And that's when the shock starts to build. Brooklyn might decide she can't wait for Chase to figure out the truth on his own anymore. She might step up, gather some facts, talk to Willow face to face, or even find proof that changes how everyone sees the whole thing. If she points out something Chase missed, it could shake things up a lot. It might crush his confidence. It might make him face just how much he let himself be affected. And it might change their marriage completely. Brooklyn doesn't shy away from confrontation. She worries about becoming complacent. If it means standing up for her marriage, she won't hesitate to act. The true disaster isn't jealousy, it's the silence that follows. She won't stay quiet as her husband gets pulled toward a woman whose secrets could ruin everything for them. Lucas never imagined he'd get to the point of doubting himself, but lately, every gut feeling he has is telling him that something's seriously off about Marco. When he finally sits down with Liz, he struggles to find the right words at first. He's not the kind of person to break down in front of others or admit that he might have stepped into something he doesn't completely get. The tension has gotten so thick that staying quiet feels riskier than finally speaking up. He tells Liz that Marco's behavior has changed in small but unsettling ways, like pauses that seem planned, reactions that feel too controlled, and talks that come across more rehearsed than natural. He's not shaken by just one big event. It's just the pattern. Lucas says that Marco seems fixated on controlling the story people tell about him. Whenever a question comes up, Marco usually has an answer ready. Whenever doubt pops up, he turns it away without a second thought. It feels planned out, almost like it's done with precision. Lucas can't get rid of the feeling that he's being controlled instead of loved. What shakes him more is that realization, even more than if he were betrayed outright. Liz listens closely, noticing the expression in Lucas's eyes, the kind that shows someone torn between loyalty and fear. She tells him that manipulation isn't always obvious. Sometimes it comes quietly, dressed up as comfort. The more Lucas thinks about it, the more he sees that he's been doubting himself for weeks. Marco has this knack for turning things around so that when Lucas points out problems, it makes him seem like he's overreacting. But the inconsistencies are still there. Marco takes some phone calls in private, drops coded language into casual talks, and his mood changes suddenly whenever certain names come up. Lucas tells Liz he feels stuck in a tangle of numbers. Like every feeling he has gets predicted and shut down before it even takes hold. It's not simply paranoia. It's all about the strategy. That plan really scares him. What scares Lucas the most is the thought that Marco isn't just keeping things to himself, but might actually be planning something bigger. If Marco is pulling the strings behind the scenes, setting Lucas up as either a pawn or a shield, then Lucas might already be caught up in something way bigger and more dangerous than he thought. The thought that someone might use him as leverage hits him like a sudden jolt. Liz notices the change in how he's standing and the urgency creeping into his voice. He's not just letting off steam, he's getting close to making up his mind. The situation has clearly gotten out of hand. Lucas admits he's thought about just going straight to Marco, asking him to be honest and put everything out in the open. But facing it head-on comes with risks. If Marco is really thinking through every angle, then losing your cool might actually work to his advantage. Lucas worries the most about that trap, how any sudden move might end up making Marco's hold even stronger instead of breaking free. And still, Lucas can feel the pressure mounting. The more he watches, the more unpredictable he starts acting. He catches himself looking at Marco's phone when it's left alone, going over their talks in his head and wondering what normal actions really mean. The calm, rational man Liz has always known is starting to crack. The tension has built up so much that it's only a matter of time before something breaks, whether it's Marco letting his secret slip or Lucas losing his patience. As Lucas wraps up what he's saying, he confesses the toughest truth. He can't tell if he's finding madness or if madness is pulling him in. If Marco is really behind everything, Lucas might soon have to do something that surprises everyone, even himself. And once you cross that line, it won't be easy to go back. When Maxie finally opens her eyes, everyone breathes a huge sigh of relief, but it doesn't stick around for long. Felicia notices it before anyone else. Maxie's face feels off somehow, like there's a brief moment of confusion where there should be no doubt at all. Spinelli catches it soon after, how Maxie pauses a bit before she recognizes people she knows. How her smile comes a little late, like her brain is digging through files that just won't open. The happiness she feels as she wakes up quickly fades when she realizes her memory is broken. Felicia's maternal instincts kick in right away. She's already wasted enough time dealing with chaos and danger in her life. She's not about to lose her daughter to place Gavin's support. Uncertainty too. Spinelli switches to thinking things through, but you can still see the worry in his eyes despite his calm reasoning. Memory is more than just a collection of facts. It's about identity. If Maxie's sense of who she is gets shaken, the emotional fallout could be really tough to handle. They decide to act quickly even though it feels risky. Restoring Maxie's memory quickly takes center stage, even more important than the investigations, the secrets, or all the political drama going on in Port Charles. Felicia thinks that emotional triggers matter. She wants Maxie to be around voices, smells, and stories that feel familiar, hoping they'll help wake up parts of the brain hidden by trauma. Spinelli trusts in patterns in piecing together timelines and in carefully sharing small, safe pieces of her past bit by bit. Both ways come with their own risks. If they push too hard, it might be too much for her fragile state to handle. If it moves too slowly, the gaps might harden and stay that way for good. The obsession starts off quietly. Felicia keeps an eye on Maxie all the time, picking up on every little reaction, looking for any sign of recognition in the tiniest things. Spinelli stays up late piecing together sequences of events, gathering digital archives of photos, videos, and voice recordings, anything that might trigger memories. What began as hope slowly turns into an obsession. With every blink, every pause in Maxie's words, and every hint of something familiar, there's something to pick apart and try to understand. But under their determination, there's fear. What if Maxie ends up remembering the wrong things at first? What happens if trauma shows up before you get to feel joy? What if the missing pieces are tied to secrets that were never supposed to be found? They both feel uneasy, thinking that her memory loss might not be random but a way to protect herself. Maybe her mind is trying to protect her from something too hard to face. Things get tense when Maxie starts asking questions that catch both Felicia and Spinelli off guard, leaving them unsure how to respond. She feels like something's missing. She senses the emptiness. The harder she pushes, the more frantic they get in their efforts. Felicia just wants people to be honest with her. Spinelli really wants to be in charge. Their tension grows as they try to keep the truth while also protecting those involved. What was supposed to be a simple recovery turns into a wild emotional race against the clock. Bringing back Maxie's memory isn't just a medical issue now. It's also about psychology, planning, and even some risk. If her memories contain important details about alliances, betrayals, or dangers that are still out there, getting them back might change the balance of power in ways nobody expects. And that's how the obsession just grows stronger. Felicia just won't quit. Spinelli won't let failure happen. The more they push, the more obvious it gets that memory isn't just an on-off switch, it's more like a maze. Somewhere deep inside that maze, there's a truth that might either heal Maxie for good or set loose something none of them are ready to deal with. Michael wanted Valentine's Day to be a fresh start, a brief pause in the chaos that just wouldn't settle. Planning the date with Jacinda felt thoughtful, like each step had a purpose. He picked a spot with care, someplace cozy but not too crowded, simple but nice. He just wanted some warmth, a bit of normal life, and the feeling that things could go on without everyone watching every word you say with doubt. For a short while, he let himself think he could forget about the mess around Drew's shooting and just be a guy going out to dinner with a woman. But under the calm words and neat details, there was a quiet tension building. Michael knew the investigation wasn't stuck. He was aware that his name was being talked about louder than most people were willing to admit. Being called the #1 suspect in Drew's shooting didn't just fade away quietly. Every glance from strangers, every surprise phone buzz, every quiet moment that lasted a bit too long felt heavy. He decided to go ahead with the date anyway. Maybe he figured that if he just acted normal, calm, and steady, it would keep people from getting suspicious. Jacinda could tell Michael was under pressure even though he was trying to hide it. The evening started off well, enough dim lights, quiet music, and a quick burst of laughter that almost seemed real. For a little while it actually worked. He was able to put the investigation out of his mind. He kept his attention on the conversation and Jacinda's smile, pretending like the world outside the restaurant didn't matter. But the peace didn't last long. The shock hit hard and without warning. It arrived suddenly, sharply carrying that clear sense of blame no one could miss. If law enforcement decided to act at that exact moment, it wouldn't just be a routine procedure. It could turn into a disaster. If Valentine's Day ended with a public arrest, it wouldn't just harm Michael's reputation. It would make everyone assume he was guilty before the trial even started. The optics by themselves would be really damaging. A romantic celebration turning into flashing lights and formal charges would quickly become a scene no one could manage, and that's exactly why the situation is so unstable. In the immediate aftermath, whether Michael is innocent or not takes a back seat. People's opinions tend to settle fast. Being brought in for questioning as the main suspect in Drew's shooting would confirm the rumors, give the media more fuel, and encourage the enemies who have been waiting for a chance like this. It would break up alliances and suddenly put family members on the defensive. The sad part is that Michael might not even realize how completely trapped he's becoming. If someone has set up evidence to point right at him and the timing is chosen to cause the most shame and stress, then this arrest isn't just a random event, it's a plan. A Valentine's Day arrest isn't just about the police. It's about how it affects people emotionally. It gets a point across. It cuts you off. It causes things to fall apart. What was supposed to be a night of connection now feels like it could be the start of everything falling apart. Jacinda's involvement just makes things even more complicated. Does she support him in public? Does she pull back when people start watching closely? What she feels about it will matter way more than either of them thinks. As suspicion grows and the chance of formal charges gets higher, Michael's world starts to fall apart. The date he saw as a sign of things getting back to normal might actually be the start of a legal and emotional downfall. If he really is heading straight into an arrest that night, then Valentine's Day won't be remembered for love or romance. It'll be remembered as the night everything fell apart.